Get everyone's cell phones off of the vibrate, please. We've got 2 microphones. Please raise your hand and bring a microphone to you. Okay, let's go ahead. Questions for Coach?
Can you give us an update on Zach's Winak? What's his status?
No, I can't. I think it was his hand, but I haven't heard. So, I'll know more probably tomorrow.
Bill, could you give us a brief, how you doing? Could you give us a brief rundown on Bench and Ferguson today, how you felt they performed?
I thought they both produced. I thought they both had some nice throws. Just like everybody, coaches and players included. In every game that you play, you wish you had some plays back. I'm sure they do too. But I thought they both did some decent things out there today.
Bill, just to kind of synopsize the spring, are you any closer? Considering how far you got to go, are you any closer to knowing who's going to play quarterback now than you were at the start of the spring, or what?
What I'll do now is I'm going to go back just by myself, and I'm going to watch all the film from the spring over the next week. And I think that both guys did some really good things. I've said that all spring, and I'd say no, I'm not any closer as I sit here right now, Dave. I'm just not any closer, but. I enjoy coaching both guys, and eventually, obviously we'll have to make a decision, but I'm not ready to make that right now. Is anybody in a good mood here today? Lighten up. Blue-white game. It's like...
Phil, can you talk about the balance of keeping these guys healthy, keeping these guys healthy throughout spring practice, but also limiting contact? And did you see anything today from the lack of contact in the spring?
People have made, I guess maybe that's my fault a little bit. I mean, we hit this spring. I mean, we had contact. You don't have to dive on the ground and tackle every day to have contact in football. We had a very productive spring. We've got in my opinion, some really good core, tough football players. We have to manage how they practice and how much they hit on a daily basis, sure, but we feel good about where we're at as far as contact speed and tackling and coming out of the spring. I thought there were some good plays on the defensive side of the ball today as far as tackling went and rushing the passer and some really good things. So, of course, next year, we're starting to work ourselves down to 65 scholarships, which we have to be down by September 1st, 2014. So we've begun that process. We began it last year. So we'll do a good job again at training camp of monitoring the health of the football team. But I'm pretty pleased with where we're at right now.
Bill, how did you feel like your offensive line got today?
I thought they were decent. I thought they were okay. I think they competed. I think they've competed all spring, and they're very well coached. They're smart. There's some veteran players there. I thought we did a good job last year playing a lot of guys at that position. So I think again, I got to watch the film, but it seemed like they did some good things today.
Bill, today was the first time a lot of Penn State fans got to see Akeel Lynch, kind of what he's capable
Yeah.
of. What did you think of the way he played today?
I thought he ran hard. I really did. Again, I got to go back and watch that tape, but I thought he ran hard just from being down there on field level and watching him run the football. I'm always stressing with Akeel, getting his pads down and running with his pads out over his toes, and I think he did a good job of that today. And he's a great guy, man. What a good kid. And his high school coach was up here last week. Just really, really glad he's on our team.
Hey, Bill, could you evaluate your kicking game now at the end of the spring? Sam missed some kicks today.
Yeah.
I know it's only one.
It's only one day. And also, what did you see from your January enrollees through spring, and how do you feel about them now?
I believe the kicking game is better. What we did today was I had Butterworth as the holder. No excuse there, but I wanted Alex to hold there. Ryan Kaiser's the starting holder, and we'll go back and look at that. So because again, like I said last year, I don't know if you remember, I said it's all about the operation there. It's the snap, it's the hold, it's a lot more than just the kicker. But I know that Sam Ficken is an improved kicker since the Wisconsin game, and so I have confidence in him. And then I thought Alex Butterworth at the beginning, we did all the special teams in the beginning, most of it, and I thought he punted the ball well. And so I think he's improved, and he'll punt better for us next year, this coming year than he did last year. The January enrollees, it's hard. It's hard when you come into college without that orientation, so to speak, that summer bridge program in June, and I give these guys a lot of credit. They're doing well in school. They're bright guys. They competed in spring practice, and I think there's a few of those guys there that can really probably help us in some way, shape, or form next fall. So I give those kids a lot of credit. They're a bunch of good kids that came in here in January.
Well, how has Jesse James looked in, when you talk about his touchdown catch?
Jesse's had a good spring. Jesse is, he's just a great guy, big, physical, good hands. He's had a really good spring, and he made some plays out there today. So yeah, he had a decent day today.
Bill, the reports we get about Deion Barnes is he's improved his run defense. What have you seen from him in the spring and the improvements he's shown?
Sure, Deion Barnes loves football, and he works extremely hard in the weight room and on the football field. And I think that he's a really, really good football player, and he's going to be a valuable member of this team, just like he was obviously last year. And I think he has improved in certain areas of his game, and again, another well-coached position. And he's had a productive spring.
Over here, Bill. Where do you want to see the spring game weekend evolve into?
Say that again?
Where might you want to see the spring game weekend evolve into? Anything get added? Anything you'd like to see be a part of it going forward?
No, I'm not sure I follow the question. I'm very pleased with Blue White Weekend, and I think the fans were fantastic today. It looked like a blizzard out there for a second, and I was shocked. And then the sun came out. It felt like it was 70 degrees, but I felt like I was on Cape Cod. But no, I think it's we have great fans. Like I've said, the student body's fantastic. They really support us, and it was fun. They mic'd me up a little bit today, and that was interesting. But I think it was pretty clean, and that's good. So.
Bill, on your left, you joked with us to lighten up. It seemed like you were pretty loose on the sideline, especially when you were mic'd up. Can you just talk about the relaxed atmosphere out there today and how enjoyable that was for you?
Well, I knew one thing today, that Penn State was going to win. So, it's a 15th practice. It's very, very important. Believe me, anytime you take the field, it's very important. But there were competitive spots on the line today, position battles and things like that. So, no question, I don't want to take anything away from that, but I want our guys to have fun. This is the best time of their lives. They're going to a great university. They're playing a spring game in front of thousands of fans, in a stadium that's just, in my opinion, the best stadium in the country. It's a fantastic atmosphere. So I just want these guys to have fun. They deserve to have fun. They worked really hard all spring and all winter, and so I hope that they had fun today.
Bill, on a serious note, do you have any thoughts on what transpired in Boston this week, and did you know anybody who was affected?
I just feel terrible for those people, and I certainly don't know anyone personally that was affected, but it's kind of friends of friends. In fact, I have a great friend who I went to Brown with, who's a head high school coach up north of Boston, and his daughter was across the street, 9-year-old daughter with her 3rd grade class watching the finish across the street from the bomb. So, I feel terrible. I love that city. I grew up 20 minutes north of that city, and my brother Tommy is heavily involved in that city and has been for a long time, and so is my oldest brother John, and my dad and my mom. So I feel terrible for them. But it was interesting watching that press conference last night. It's like President Obama said. Boston is a very resilient city, And we caught him last night, so that was good.
Coach, you talked about Eugene Lewis and the progress he's made since you've been here.
Say that again.
Talk about Eugene Lewis.
Eugene Lewis, sorry, I didn't hear you. Again, it's kind of a repetitive type answer, but what a fantastic kid. You talk about a guy, he's got a smile on his face every day. He's done everything we've asked him to do. I mean, this guy was a high school quarterback, and we're asking him to play receiver in a fairly complex offense to play receiver and recognize coverages and how your route changes versus different coverages. And so, can't say enough about him. I think he's got an excellent future here at Penn State, and I love coaching him.
Bill, you mentioned competitions for spots.
Yeah.
Different coaches have like wide disparity of how important they treat a spring game. I read that Gus Malzahn wants it to be like a game atmosphere, and theirs today. How seriously do you take this any more than say 15 practices before?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we take it seriously. We'll go in there and we'll watch the film as a staff. You know, we'll get the film watched probably Tuesday. I have to go somewhere on Monday, but we'll watch the film. And we'll use it as another evaluation tool. The one thing about today, from a scheme standpoint, was that it was very simple. So if there were a bunch of mental errors today with an individual player, that's probably not real good. You know, we called simple schemes, Johnny Butler and myself on offense, Johnny on defense, and so hopefully the guys lined up and knew what they were doing. So it should have been a scrimmage with not a lot of mental errors, and then we'll see how they played. So it's certainly an important evaluation. It's part of it's a piece of the puzzle.
Bill, just to reiterate, do you just want to play one quarterback once you eventually settle?
Yes.
And what are your plans for integrating Hackenberg once he gets here?
Yeah, we'll integrate him right in there, and it's very difficult to get 3 quarterbacks reps during training camp, so we'll have to evaluate that over the next couple months here, how we're going to do that, if we're going to do that. We've got to evaluate this game and go back and myself personally evaluate all the practices and see where we're at. And only one quarterback can play at a time, in my opinion. So we've got to do a good job of making sure where these 2 guys stand and make sure they know where they stand. And then when training camp starts, we've got to give Christian some reps and let him get in there and compete and see how that goes. So we're a long way off from that. But it is a decision that has to be made at some point in time, but not today.
Hey Bill, with Bench and Ferguson, what would you like to see them improve upon and work on the most over the summer and into the fall camp that could help them to maybe stand out or separate?
Yeah, I listen again. Like I always tell you guys, I appreciate the question, I respect the question, but I'm not going to get into what I think they should improve. That's between myself and Steven and myself and Tyler. I think that we can all improve upon things. I can certainly improve. I try to improve every day. I think that personally I've got to do a better job of coaching this football team this year than I did last year. And we've got to do a great job over the summer. But I'll just keep the conversations about what I expect from each guy between myself and those players.
Bill, you said you're pleased with the progress Malik Golden and Trevor Williams made switching to the other side of the ball. Can you talk about both of them today? Their progress through the spring?
Sure. Again, I have to watch the film to see how they each played today, but I think those guys, again, these are 2 guys that are team guys. These are guys that we called in. Personally, I called them in and said, hey, look, I think you can help us on the other side of the ball. And they both said, whatever we need to do to help the team is what we're going to do. And those are the type of guys we want at Penn State now, tomorrow, next year, 6 years down the road. Those are the guys we want. Team guys that understand the concept of team football, and those 2 guys are good examples, and I think they've improved, and I believe they'll be able to help us next year.
Bill, Mike Hull's a guy that obviously is going to be a big piece for you. What have you seen from Mike this spring?
Mike's one of the best football players on our team. He's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. He's a Pittsburgh guy. We can't say enough about Mike Hull. He can play the run well. He's I think a really good blitzer. He's good in coverage. Just a guy that is somewhat of a quiet guy, but he's a leader by example. Everybody on this football team knows who Mike Hull is, and they respect him. And I think he's a really valuable part of our football team. No, No, I don't think so. I mean, I have to, again, I just came in right from the field, so, no, I don't believe so. You know, we tried to play everybody today, so I think with him and Carson, we basically got those guys a couple series and then played everybody else.
Take two more.
You've got the caravan coming up shortly, but what's the schedule for you and the staff over the next handful of days and weeks as you transition out of spring drills?
Monday, I have a Big Ten head coaches meeting in Chicago to talk about the NCAA recruiting rules. That'll be a fun meeting. So I'll fly out to Chicago for that, really looking forward to that. And then I'll come back that same day, and then Tuesday, basically, Corey, over the next, basically, I want to say 7 to 10 days, I'm going to meet with every player on this football team and talk about where they're at academically, obviously where they're at football-wise, and anything that they want to talk about. You know, I think that's something that I'll always do here at Penn State. That's important. And we'll meet as a staff. Now the staff, it's interesting, you know, the head coaches aren't allowed to go out recruit in May, but the staff is. So the staff will be organizing their recruiting trips, where they're going to head to go, you know, visit high schools and things like that over the month of May, and then we'll meet on football probably in the morning and recruit in the afternoon, and that's basically the schedule for the next, I'd say, 2 weeks.
Bill, how did Tyler Ferguson assimilate to the team, not just to the team, but coming from California, and
Sure.
how did you assimilate him as well?
Yeah, I think you got to give Tyler a lot of credit. You know, here's a guy that, and I'll say the same thing about Stephen Bench as it relates to last year. You know, here are guys that are a long way from home. And as it relates to Tyler, he came here really sight unseen as far as Penn State is concerned. He put his stuff in a suitcase and trusted that he was coming to the right place for him. And he came out here, and I think the team has done a great job of accepting him. And I'd say the same thing about Stephen last year. You know, Stephen came here from Georgia, long way from home, and both those guys have assimilated themselves well with the team, and the team's done a good job of accepting those guys too. We got a bunch of great kids here.
Okay, thanks,
Good.
Coach.
Okay, yep.
I wasn't speaking, and I was going to church. Which church?